Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel. The better we get at communication, the easier we make our lives. You know, that's one takeaway for us all to take from this. I'm talking to myself too. Now, share with people the experience. And I will tell you this, going through and making sure those words, I kind of gave in to my ghostwriter quite a bit because she was more persuasive than me when it came to the final thing. It's like, trust me, I've written all these great books, this, that, and the other, you know, for all of these politicians and, you know, this, that, and the other. Trust me, you know, this is how it communicates well. You know where I fell apart on that? It just not all the way through, but when it came time to read the book into Audible, you know, for the audio book, if it's not your words, you get tongue-tied, you know, and you have to go back. Okay.
You hear yourself saying it, and you say, "I wouldn't say this in my normal conversation. Like I don't use this word or this."
Yeah.
You know,
so the more you use your own words, the more you're going to save yourself grief when it comes time to read that book for the audio version for Amazon. But talk about the experience of coming through that, writing the book, and it doesn't sell itself. Because, you know, there are a lot of people that have made it through writing the book, and then they're shocked that it doesn't sell itself, you know. So I've got friends all the time writing books, and then you know, they're like you know, like, I'm sure you've got friends the same thing. They see you write a book and say, well, okay, I've wanted to write a book. Okay, now I'll do it. But then they're surprised. And not all the marketing works, but you've got to do marketing, you know, and a lot of it's to find out what works and what doesn't work. But what have you found out about marketing a book?
You know, what I found out is, I'll kind of even back up one step is it's like, well, why are you writing the book? You know, I meet so many, you know, business owners, and they did a self-published paperback. They wrote it, you know, proofread it once, and it's like their business card, right? So it's like, you know, they're an author. They're an author technically on paper, but it's like, are you an author? You know, like you are going out and you have a message to share, and you're really passionate about it. So I mean, I didn't know that when I wrote the book. I just thought people are going to be like, oh, Matt, buy his book. But it's just like anything, you know, with painting. I was knocking on doors. I knocked on this many doors. I did this many proposals. It's like, what is the method you're going to use to sell that book? And there's so many ways you can do it. I'm going to go on a podcast. There'll definitely be listeners that purchase your book. I bumped into a guy in Las Vegas, kind of a crazy story. It's I'm an early riser. I'm in Las Vegas at 5 a.m, waking up to start my day. You know, a lot of people are wrapping up their evening. There's this really cool gentleman, he sits there. He goes there at 4 a.m. every morning, and he has a little sign. He's a realtor, and he has a book. So he's got his realtor sign and his book. And people walk in, and he sells, you know, 2 or 3 books a day, right? So you do that every day. That's 1,000 books a year. Like that's his method. He's committed to that. He's passionate about the message that he's sharing. So there needs to be a bigger reason behind it, because it's a huge time investment. It's a huge financial investment, whether you're directly paying for these services to put the book together. You're also stepping away from whatever your earning potential is. And you've got to be committed, and you've got to look at it through a 10-year window, you know. But again, your method is your method.
Yeah. And so talk about now what you've learned by speaking to other groups, you know, and basically, are you continuing to learn? You know, that's what, you know, how motivated are you compared to when you got started, as, you know, you've gone, you know, your 5, 10, 15, 20 year stages along the journey being an entrepreneur. Has it been worth it? You know, can you imagine yourself doing anything else? How's your life? What kind of life have you been able to build for yourself?
Yeah, so a lot of questions there. You know, I am definitely still motivated. I'd say more motivated. You know, in 2005, I'm fired. I need to make $2,800 in 28 days. and I know how to go do it knocking on doors. So back then, hey, I'm Matt, I want your money. Like, I'm not talking about purpose, vision, pouring into people, leadership, being vulnerable. I'm like, give me your money. Like it was, cog in a wheel, make the numbers work. And now, like, you have kids. Whoa, I'm responsible for teaching them lessons about life. And I have kids. Now I'm really seeing, some past, say, traumas or things that I went through in my childhood that I'm like seeing pass over to my kids. Well, I've got to deal with that. I've got to go on this journey of self-discovery and finding out that I can be a better person, and business is a vehicle to help me do that. So my motivation is it's stronger than it was, and it's for different reasons. But gosh, I could not imagine ever working for anybody ever again. After getting a taste of business, something I love, something I'm great at, and it's something that others need. And I really view everything as like, how do you go out and help people every day? How do you make their lives better? We own 6 companies technically here, and everyone's a little different. We have a jiu-jitsu academy. We sell an online drywall repair tool, and in different ways we get to help people make their life better. That's the consistent theme.
What is the hardest thing you've gone through? You talked about showing vulnerabilities and this and that. Would you say the hardest thing you had to go through? Because again, that's where make or break type things, it can put you out of the game, or it can teach you lessons that you use the rest of your life. What was the most painful? Like, this is hard.
Yeah. I think so personally, I grew up in a very just angry environment where I learned the anger emotion at a very young age. And I'm not saying that emotion can't get you places, right? Like when I got fired from the bank, it was F you, I'm going to go make $1 million. And then boom, like that drove me. But then I saw that emotion starting to overflow right into like, hey, I see, my 3-year-old gets pissed off and, throws his train across the window or across the room, hits the window, kicks over a little table. I'm like, oh, he didn't just learn that on his own. Like Elmo didn't teach him that on TV, kind of a thing. So I think really, really getting called out. I mean, business stuff aside of like, hey, Matt, somebody called me out. He's like, how are you showing up to life? Is what you're showing your kids the way that you want them to grow up. And I had to take a hard look at, how I was doing.
Who was that in terms? That was a friend or a mentor, or what would you say? Who is that?
Yeah, it was a couple of different people. Yeah, a couple of different people in a couple of different ways. We were in a business mastermind group where we got together with other business owners, and the gentleman that was running it, he had a background in neuro-linguistic programming and NLP. Right. There's a lot of the programs and everything that you run, and I'm a pretty hard-headed dude, so I'd say 98% of the general, say, population, and like you and I think we have kind of the same energies. Like, not a lot of people are going to walk up to us and say, hey, Larry, man, I got a beef with you. Did you know you're being a real dick? And look you right in the face and say that, right? Like, no one's going to say that. And this guy just came out and said it to me. And I was like, okay, I was in an environment where, there was an understanding that we were going to get vulnerable. And that was kind of the first guy to call me out. And then another big part of my life is Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I had a lot of one training partner in particular. He was like, man, did you know that, you're really intimidating. People are very intimidated to engage with you, both physically in your jiu-jitsu and your fighting, your grappling, but then also just in a verbal conversation. So it was situations like that. And it wasn't one that was big and eye-opening. It was kind of the culmination of a lot of them. And then me stepping back and going, hey, these guys are right. Because my knee jerk is to be like, get out of here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's so easy to be a bully and not be aware you're a bully, and especially the leader. And it's amazing, I've always been very conscious. I don't say I've necessarily always done a great job of it, but I've always been really conscious that if I'm in front of a group, if, even in an office or a manager meeting, this and the other, I darn well better feel good before I get there. Because if I feel bad, if I'm worn out, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm overwhelmed with a certain problem, when I show up, they're going to see wrinkles in my face that I can't hide.
Yeah.
And they're going to think it's because of something they did. You know what I'm saying? And you don't, they won't tell you that, but they're going to be like, oh, he's mad at me. Oh, what did I do? And you create more trauma for yourself than you do good by showing up and having what you think is a real gung-ho meeting. But when you wound up the body language sends a different signal. So you really have to, and this speaks to, and we'll wrap up on this, taking care of yourself as you get more pressures. You got 6 jobs, you've got family, you've got responsibility, you got people calling you to, overcommitment's always a big thing, but there's overcommitment with things you really want to do. There's overcommitment with things you don't want to do. But the frustrating thing is when you get overcommitment of things you really want to do. You want to go speak there. You want to go meet these people.
It's hard to say no when you love it. Yeah, it's hard to say no.
You want to take your family over there and you want to start this new product line, and you want to, and so you're running ragged and you can get strung out. I mean, it can happen just like that, especially as a business person. It always seems like it's feast or famine in business, and so balancing that is something I bet you've had to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I joke like when I hear the word balance and time management, I go, like I'm never balanced, so I spent, if you would have talked to me 30 days ago, I wouldn't have been able to talk to you because I'm down in the book. I'm like, you know what, can't talk to you. I'm doing the manuscript. And now I'm enjoying that I don't have as much work right now. I'm taking a breather. I had a couple extra dates with my wife at lunch this week. So there's always a little ebb and flow, but I got really good. I felt like I got really good over the years at determining, okay, for this specific time period, what is important? What am I going to prioritize, plan, execute, and evaluate on in terms of, because you can't manage time. We all have the same amount, but it's like, here are the tasks I have at hand. Why am I doing them? Why are they important? But yeah, carving out time just for your own mental sanity and health, and being able to explore your story, where you've come from, where you're going, why you want to go there, it's been really important for me.
Yeah, and I really think you nailed it there. The answer to the balance thing, if you worry about balance, you'll always be paranoid. Am I in balance? But the thing is, it's more priorities. And if you got your and priorities change, like if different times in your life, it's like, if it's, you spent the whole summer planning your crop and today is harvest time and you got to get it done today, tonight, and get it in before the rain comes tomorrow. That's balance. It's, the balance is prioritizing, getting that in. We'll worry about the other stuff tomorrow. Your kid's got a cough. Okay, we'll go to the doctor tomorrow. Take some cough medicine. I got to get that hay in, and it's within reason. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that it's more of a priority thing, and where you have, and isn't that the great thing about being your own business? What you really earn is the right to decide what your priorities are and to pursue those priorities.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it.
Let's go. And I want to give you a last word. What kind of a final word to wrap up? What would you want people to take away from listening? And, and they can plug in at your websites.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we'll get all of those, have those listed out, but you could say them now. The books are the book that's already out is.
Yeah. So the book that's already out, it's Become an Award-Winning Company. And then the book that's coming out is Painted Baby. And that should be out in January. But yeah, everything, you can find everything, about me, everything that I do and offer just on my website, mattshoup.com. I'm sure you'll link it up on your show.
Right. Well, thanks for being on, and let's stay in touch and let's get back together down the road, and I'll hear how the book went and how your new adventures. By then you'll probably be up to 10 or 12 companies.
See, I'll let you know.
All right, let's stay in touch. Thanks so much, Matt. This has been great.
Thanks, Larry. Take care, man.
Bye.
Nice to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.